What is up, guys? I don't know why I'm wearing my headphones for this video. I don't need to. Like, there's no music playing. I'm not doing anything. I'm not talking to anybody. I don't know why I have my headphones on. It was because I was doing YouTube and editing stuff before this. That would make more sense. So, hey, it's Thursday. So that means we're going to be doing another episode of Modern Meta Breakdown. And I was going through decks for a while, and I know you guys have suggested some great decks I still haven't talked about. Grizzlebrand, 8-whack, taking turns, that sort of stuff. I still haven't talked about. And there's awesome decks out there floating around that I haven't had a chance to talk about. And I realized that there's been a specific archetype that I've kind of been not ignoring per se, but not highlighting like I should have. It's a really fun style to play. It's not aggro, it's not combo, but it's control. Figured this seems like something we should talk about, right? I've been avoiding blue-white control, and I'm still avoiding it. So, I think it's because I've been focusing a lot of it on our coverage for Modern Magic Mondays, because one of our players, who is a season champion, season number 2 champion, has been playing it for quite a while, and he's placed well at Star City events using the deck. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna wait a little bit, and then I saw there's been some sprinkling of different types of Jeskai control running around. So I was like, well, most of the blue-white decks are pretty similar. Jeskai, though, you can go kind of all over the place with it. So I have 3 lists to talk about today, right? So I'm gonna just jump into it, get it going, kind of talk about the deck, what is strong about the deck, maybe some of the weaknesses, some ways to deal with it, that sort of thing, because there are 3 different types that you can go if you're going to play Jeskai. They're all slight variants of the control aspect to it. When I got into Modern many years ago, and you were going to play control, this was kind of the way to play. And then Twin just became the powerhouse that it was, and people were like, why play control when I can just play Twin? And you just have control backup, and whatever. So this is the new Jeskai control, right? This is what a lot of people are playing nowadays, and this is kind of our most recent control list, if you will, from a classic taking place over the previous weekend there. So as you can see, 9 creatures in here. I like the creature choice that it's running. With these Jeskai control lists, you're going to see pretty much a playset of Snapcaster Mage. Being able to flashback any of your spells from your graveyard is a must. You can flashback a counter spell, you can flashback a removal spell. Just 2 mana to do that, easy. You can see it's running 24 lands, no problem. This newer creature, I say, has done really well. Like, there was a Bant Spirit list, running around for a while, but Spell Queller, so definitely a great gotcha card. Like, oh, I don't have to waste a counter spell on this. Like, cool, I can just use a creature, and now I have a threat on board, and this makes it a little bit easier, where previous Jeskai control lists didn't have as much power on the board. But this allows them to kind of put a clock on you, which is really nice. So, cost 3, a white, a blue, and a colorless for a 2/3 with flash. When he enters the battlefield, exile target spell with converted mana cost 4 or less. And then, of course, when Spell Queller leaves the battlefield, that spell does get to go off. Meh. Oh well. But it's definitely, you're playing against a combo, you're playing against something crazy out there, you can stop them. Stop them dead. Oh, and this shadow that's running around, that's fine. You can mess with them because a lot of their stuff is 4 or less. So definitely a nice addition in there. And then our fairies, right? Fairy Wizard, Vendilion Click, cost 3 for a 3/1, another flash creature, really nice. Again, put those threats out on your opponent's turn, sneak by for some extra damage during your turn. But this is a nice one, basically allowing a blue deck to have some disruption. It's very rare for it to happen. Having that access without running black, right? That's the big one. Inquisition, Duress, Thought Seizes, things like that. That you go, yes, I want to disrupt what they're doing, get rid of their hand. But this lets you look at your well, I was going to say opponent. Look, target player. You can choose myself. I can choose my opponent, and then I can choose a non-land card from it. If I do, that player reveals the chosen card and puts it on the bottom of their library, and then draws a card. So you can choose yourself. And you go, well, I have a bunch of removal spells that I'm playing against a Bant hexproof deck or a green-white hexproof deck. So I'm going to get rid of this Path to Exile and hope to draw into something else. Something like that could happen, or you want to disrupt your opponent from doing something. That's usually the play to go about. Is you can look at their hand too and say, I don't want to take any of those. Now I know exactly what you have. I know what to play around. I'm not going to give you a chance to draw into anything better. Which I know a lot of newer players might get sucked into that and think they have to pull a card. You don't. It is a may. So that is a nice little snidbit there. So let's talk about the spells, because you can see that's the main focus of the deck. The biggest portion of the deck goes to that. In this version of it, Playset of Cryptic Command makes the most sense. It's an amazing card, because pay 4 mana, I get to do 2 great things, right? I can either draw a card, I can tap your whole team down so you can't attack me this turn, I can return a permanent to your hand that includes lands. Maybe you're trying to kill me with an Ink Moth or something. No, get out of here. Or I can just counter a spell. I can do whatever 2 I want. So a lot of people choose to draw a card, and I think the bouncing a permanent is the least used mode on it, but still quite powerful and something you guys need to be aware of. There are 4 modes on it. So there's a playset of that. Let's talk about some more counter spells running around. That is kind of the super powerful New Age counter spell of Modern, if you will. I say New Age. It's been around forever, but it's pretty much seeing play in blue-white control and Jeskai control, and one of the few delve spells still allowed in Modern. I say delve spells allowed in Modern. There's a lot in there, but that is actually good, right? Become Immense is great. Logic Knot is also great. I can sit here and essentially say, well, I have all these fetch lands in my graveyard that are doing nothing, so I'm just going to delve those away and just pay 2 mana and counter that spell, right? Like, that's all just extra resources now to be able to do this. So it works out really well, especially if you know you're not going to be flashing back specific things. Maybe some of your creatures are in your graveyard, you have no way of getting those back, so that's just extra fuel for Logic Knot. So those are the 2 big counter spells available to you. You know, double blue and X. You can, of course, feed into that by delving cards away. Counter target spell unless its controller pays X. Sweet. So I can just pay 1 if you've tapped yourself out to try to play that on curve. Well, sorry about it. Like, works out really well. So you see 3 of those. And then what's even nice too is, hey, Snapcaster, flash it back, right? Let's get right back into it and delve in again. So great aspect. A little bit of card draw with Serum Visions. You know, it's a staple in sort of these blue-based decks. Drawing cards, scrying, setting up your draws, manipulating them with some of your lands, like fetching and things. Works out nicely. Then we've got kind of our removal / draw spell with Electrolyze. Cost 3, deal 2 damage, divided up either 2 creatures, 1 creature, creature and a player, whatever you want to do. As long as it's 2 damage, you can do it. Then you draw a card off of it. So 3 in there, extra card draw, a little bit of single target removal stuff if need be. It's pretty nice. 4 bolts are in here, 3 damage. 4 Helix, 3 damage, gain 3 life. Sweet. Playset of Path to Exile. Awesome. I love Path to Exile against Death Shadow right now. Just saying, nope, I'm not going to let you bring that back from your graveyard. He's gone. Don't play him again. And then, of course, a nice board wipe in there. It's just a nice to have at least 1 main board, right? Supreme Verdict. Great. Let's just destroy everything, shall we? So then is kind of our removal plan. And what's nice about the Jeskai control deck is oftentimes you can just do those bolt, snap, bolt to kill somebody, which is just like, I'm going to play Lightning Bolt, and then I'm going to play Snapcaster, and I'm going to flashback Lightning Bolt and deal 6 damage to you this turn, and, you know, all these helixes and other damages and stuff built up over time. I've used my man lands to be able to kill you, things like that. So, and that is one of the main win conditions of this deck is our man land Celestial Colonnade. So it costs 5 mana to make it a 4/4 flying vigilance land, right? Still land. So 4 attempts, 4 blue and white. Pretty sweet. Definitely one of the main win conditions of this version of Jeskai Control. But you can see there's a couple basics in here. 2 islands, a mountain, the plains. Makes sense. I love the addition of Desolate Lighthouse. You saw that a lot during those twin days, doing that kind of loot effect. But hey, it can help you out later on if you're just drawing lands or something like that. I've got nothing to do with this mana. Might as well sit here and draw a card. Playset of Flooded Strand. Here's some our shocks we're getting into. Hollowed Fountain, Sacred Foundry, Steam Vents. Makes sense. Playset of Scalding Tarn. Okay, cool. We're playing Jeskai. Blue, red, blue, white. That's what we want. And then the Spired Bluff Canal, added it in there instead of extra fetch lands, extra shocks. Just saying, hey, these fast lands work out pretty well early on. Allows me to be able to start bolting you and doing things like that. Serum Visions. Great. So that's kind of the basic version of a classic control deck, if you will. Just, hey, here's a couple of creatures, here's a couple of spells. Sideboard is kind of what you'd expect. You see a lot of one-ofs. Engineer Explosive, because you have 3 colors. You can pretty much kill anything that's 3 colors or less, right? Makes perfect sense. We'd want to have that in there. Other removal spells that we've got in there, Blessed Alliance, also can double his life gain. Pretty nice. Most often used, though, is to make an opponent sack an attacking creature. Anger of the Gods is in here. Another thing kind of saying, hey, I need more board wipes, not just Supreme Verdict. Let's deal 3 damage to everything. So those quick aggressive decks, kill everything, right? Seems sweet. Celestial Purge is also in there. Exile target black or red permanent. Just, again, hey, Death Shadow, calling out to you right there. So that's kind of our nice kind of removal package. Is it Static Caster is also kind of removal package, if you will, because you deal 1 damage to our creature effects. Sorry about all your spirits. Sorry about all your soldiers. All right. And it just, for those that might be still playing Infect, it just makes them cry. So there's that bonus, if you will. We've also got playset, or not playset, double Rest in Peace, double Stony Silence. Hey, you're running white, why would you not? Kind of thing. Couple extra counter spells, dispels in here. We've got Wear and Tear, some removal for artifact and enchantments. Crumble to Dust. Nobody likes Tron, right? Let's get rid of all their mountains or their towers. Their, you know, whatever you want to destroy. Target non-basic land. You search their graveyard, hand, and library for all other copies and exile them. So works out pretty nicely. Elspeth Sun's Champion. Hey, if we're gonna be playing against big dumb dudes, right? Eldrazi, we can destroy all creatures of power 4 or greater. Seems pretty good. Also against Death Shadow. I can make a bunch of 1/1 white soldiers that just get in your way. Another click is here. Hey, maybe I'm playing combo. I need an extra dude to kind of disrupt you. So that's the basic of the kind of classic Jeskai control that's out there right now. 2 other versions of it I'm going to show you. One is Planeswalker oriented, which popped up more popular. Was that last year this time? Last summer, I'd say. But still sees play from time to time. And then the last one we'll get to in a second. So let's, this is definitely a fun, just tried and true. I'm going to play burn spells and removal spells, and I'm going to play counter spells. And then I'm going to flash this stuff back, and we're going to play that game, right? Seems fun, right? So that's kind of what this version is doing. The next version, yep, Nihiri the Harbinger. So once this once she came out, we decided, what would be fun? Having extra win conditions in a control deck and not just relying on Colonnade to do the main damage, right? Sure, yeah, seems great. What could we be able to cheat into play? Well, so Nihiri costs 4, right? 2 colorless, a red and a white, 4 loyalty Planeswalker. Okay, seems good. Oh, she upticks by 2, not just 1. Plus 2, discard a card. If you do, draw a card. So I don't have to discard. You may. Okay. Seems great. Can adjust my draws if I'm getting flooded or something like that. Ship that to the graveyard. Cool. We'll draw a card. Or it can exile an enchantment, an artifact, or a tap creature. Okay, a little bit of protection for herself. Seems good. And how do I get to her alt? What is her alt here? Oh, 8? So I just uptick her twice, and then on my third turn, I win the game, essentially. So a 3-turn clock once she hits the battlefield. Okay, so search your library for an artifact or creature card and put that onto the battlefield. Shuffle your library. It gains haste and return it to your hand at the beginning of the next end step. Alright, so what would we get? What big creature could help us win the game on a short 3-turn clock there? Oh! Big old Emrakul. Aeon's Torn. 15/15. Can't be countered. Take an extra turn after this one when you cast it. Don't worry, you won't get an extra turn because you're just having it enter the battlefield. But it has flying, protection from colored spells, and Annihilator 6. So making your opponent sack 6 permanents, taking 15 damage, is pretty game-ending right there. Right? If they aren't dead from that, next turn you can sit there and hit them with a lightning bolt or something, then they'll die, right? People are fetching and shocking, and they'll be dead pretty easily. But so you think, okay, quicker win condition than the Celestial Colonnade, because Celestial Colonnade doesn't get online until you have at least 5 mana, right? Okay, that's only 4 damage. Where the Hiri, I sit there and I use my lightning bolts, my counter spells to keep her alive, and then after 3 turns I just get a 15/15. Yeah, this seems like a much quicker win condition than just sitting here and playing that long drawn out game. Now, some people like that, and that's fine. That, whatever version of the control deck you want to play, you can. That's the beauty of Jeskai control, is that there's so many different flavors of it, where the blue-white control is kind of more straightforward of how you can play it right now. So there's another Planeswalker that this list is running, and that's our Ajani here. 4 cost course, 2 colorless, a red and a white, for 3 loyalty. Target permanent doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step for a +1. Solid. -2 deals 3 damage to target creature or player. You gain 3 life. Cool. Lightning Helix. Seems good. And -7 destroy all the lands target player controls. I very rarely will see somebody do the ultimate on Ajani. Really, it's just kind of the +1, -2. Just do a little bit of disruption. Really mess with them for a bit. Maybe help protect Nahiri. Do some annoying stuff. Draw some fire away from you because now they have to worry about Ajani. That sort of thing. But it's still, Ajani's powerful. Like, let's not get that twisted or anything like that. You play an Ajani, you're going to take notice because they might just shoot off one of your creatures as soon as they play it. So 4 Snapcasters in here. Don't need the click. Don't need any of that kind of stuff. Don't need any other creatures really, except for the 5, because we are running the Planeswalkers in place of them. Makes sense. What other spells are we running this time around? Well, we've only got 1 Logic Knot. Let's talk counter spells for a little bit. 1 Logic Knot, cool. We're running the Romanzin this time. That extra draw seems nice because we're also trying to draw into a Nahiri, right? We want to get a Nahiri out. We want to get the lands that we need to play Nahiri. We want the protection against whatever my opponent's doing, so I can get a Nahiri to stick. So we've got that. We're also running the Spell Snare, counter target spell with converted mana cost 2, Tarmogoyfs, things like that. Other counter spells oftentimes cost 2. Seems good. I don't know if it's as necessary to run 2 main board. I personally am a fan of 1 right now. Maybe as the meta shifts and stuff, you can make it justified for 2, but Joe here has felt comfortable enough running 2, and he's been piloting it. I have not been piloting it lately, so we're going to go with that. So there's our counter spells with additional 3 Cryptic Command in there. So not the full play set, because running the sprinkling of other counter spells. But we've got additional draw spells besides Serum Visions, right? What else are we running besides Serum Visions and Remand? Sphinx's Revelation, guys. It doesn't want to show me Sphinx's Revelation. There we go. I was like, that was weird. So, costs 3, right? You say 3. No. It's always going to be more than 3. At least 4, 5, 6, whatever you can manage. But you gain X life, draw X cards. So, need to reload, need to gain a little bit of life, end step, cast Sphinx's Rev. It's a great way to just kind of stay in the game for a little bit longer. So that's awesome. Detention Sphere, an additional removal spell in there, 2 main board. It's a big staple in the blue-white list. Definitely great to have in here too. Again, deals with tokens, creatures of the same name. Good, it's good them all. You know what? We don't need all those Death Shadows on the board. Get rid of them. Sorry. Not sorry. Lightning Bolt, Helix, only 2 this time because we have a sprinkling of other ones. 2 Anger in here, and then of course our 4 Path to Exile. So we are opting for that, as well as our Supreme Verdict. So this list of the 29 spells are not as many play sets. We've just kind of stretched it a little bit more and have a lot more options available for this list. And both are perfectly fine and perfectly reasonable on how to play, right? That's what we'd expect. Do want to highlight, though, 2 sideboard cards real quick, because, sideboards are pretty much the same. Ruined Halo, awesome. Actually, 3 high. We'll do 3, right? Ruined Halo is awesome. Double white, comes into play, name a card, you have protection from the chosen name. Hey, Death Shadow. Sorry. You don't have any enchantment hate right now? Sorry, you're not going to kill me with that. So you have protection, or you can just, those kind of silver bullet combo decks or something like that. Valakut, hey, guess what? I can't be targeted or dealt damage from Valakut. Sorry. Primeval Titan, we're not going to deal with that. We're going to call that. Lightning Storm, no thanks. Seems good, right? So we got 2 in there. Our Ceremonious Rejection, our counter target Eldrazi, counter target artifact, colorless spell, if you will, for 1 blue. I love it. So there's 3 in there. And then Time the Reinforcements. Gain 6 life if you have less life than your opponent. If you control fewer creatures than your opponent, get 3 1/1 white soldier creature tokens. So let's get a board presence, shall we? Let's gain some life. So I like that card a lot. So this list suffers from that. I'm going to focus on the Planeswalker aspect. And you can see, like, it's stretched out more on the counter spells and the way that it's trying to protect itself. Doesn't get a lot of board presence other than the Nahiris, right? The Nahiri Johnny's usually going to be doing a negative here, kill off a creature or something, or +1, do some manipulation like that. But Nahiri is like, hey, if you let this stick around, you're losing the game. So it does draw a lot of attention, but that is a very much a warping of the gameplay of the Jeskai control from the first list we saw, right? If you can handle this Planeswalker, you can pretty much handle the deck, right? It should work pretty well. You just have to be careful on how it's going to work because of the counter spells and stuff like that. Now, you can choose to kind of combo against it, try to disrupt it, whatever you want to try to do to kind of combat it. Try to go really fast, swarm the board, but it's like the curve for this deck is basically saying Serum Visions, I'll have a Spell Snare next turn, Remand, maybe Logic Knot, Path to Exile, Lightning Bolt, Lightning Helix. I've got something to do. Okay, turn 3, maybe Detention Sphere, maybe an Anger of Gods to kind of clear the board away, or I've got that counter spell, I've got that removal spell of the bolts, the helixes, the paths. Okay, things are looking good. Here's Nahiri on 4, plus it up, and 6 loyalty. Like, that means you have to deal 6 damage to kill her as soon as she comes out. That is a lot to invest into it. So it is a powerful version of the deck to be playing. Definitely something that if you like playing Emrakul, if you like having a Planeswalker strategy, this is the way to play Jeskai for you. Last list I want to say is kind of a newer Jeskai stuff. No longer able to be played in Standard. So why not? Let's port it over to let's port it over here to Modern, right? Feldar Guardian, guys. Cats can play with the best of us, right? So yes, we're gonna play Saheeli. We're gonna just make infinite number of cats and kill you that way. It's basically like, I wish I could play Twin, but I can't, so I'm gonna play cats. That's a lot more investment and much easier to worry about. Now, the benefit though is that Feldar Guardian can't be fatal pushed. So you have that going for you. And enters the battlefield, exile another target permanent you control, return to the battlefield under its owner control. Cool. So it's running things like Wall of Omens and the battlefield draw card. It's running P and Kira in here. When it enters, make some Thopters, right? Here's some 2/1/1 flying Thopters, and you can launch them at your opponent. Snapcaster. Well, I flashed back that Lightning Bolt, that Helix, that Remand. Sweet. Now I got to do that again. Click. Oh, I got to take another card and put it on the bottom. Really disrupt you some more. Seems great. So it's pretty much all the creatures that the deck runs can be manipulated by Feldar Guardian, right? They benefit from, like, flashing in a Restoration Angel and getting a enter the battlefield effect going. That's what Feldar Guardian does. But it benefits from having the Saheeli, cool, being able to make a copy of target creature or artifact. Sweet, gains haste. Awesome. Makes all that sense, right? So, really, you're safe unless they get lucky and get it on turn 4. Like, turn 3 Saheeli, upticker to 4 by scrying 1 and deals 1 damage to an opponent. But that means on 3 they've committed to that, and that's only 4 damage that you have to deal to Saheeli, right? Or you can deal 3 damage. You don't even have to deal 4, because as long as she can't do her -2, you're fine, right? You don't have, like, that's the thing. It's like, so if they try to play Feldar Guardian after you've done 3 damage, you've got to have that last little bit to kill her off, because when Feldar enters, you basically get a new Saheeli. It says, okay, here's a 3 loyalty Planeswalker. -2, get the Feldar Guardian. Feldar Guardian will blink away Saheeli. Here's a brand new Saheeli. 3 loyalty. I'm going to -2. And do that, and I have infinite cats. Right? Kill you with cats. So, definitely something to think about. It's possible to do that, but it's more likely for this deck to do that on, like, turn 6, turn 7 maybe. A little bit more drawn out, so it's got the protection to go with it. It's going to have the Remand. It's going to have the Path, the Helix, the Bolt, something to kind of deal with you. But you notice that with this list, its draw powers involve Serum Visions, Remand, and Spreading Seas. Spreading Seas is also a way to disrupt your opponent and keep them cut off of the lands that they want to be doing. Hey, Tron, sorry about you. But there's no cryptic commands in here. It's shaving off of the counter spells that we saw, like from the Nahiri version, from the other control, the regular just Jeskai control, to kind of say, well, I need to rely more on Feldar Guardian benefiting from my creatures, benefiting from my planeswalkers, that sort of thing. Also runs 1 Jace, Architect of Thought. Amazing card. Love it. -2, get card advantage, essentially. Look at the top 3 cards. Your opponent puts them into 2 piles. You got to choose which pile you're going to be getting, right? 1 pile goes to your hand, the rest go to the bottom. So you got to be the one to decide, though, which is nice. And then +1, all your opponent's creatures get -1, -0 until your next turn. So, or until end of turn, sorry. So this is a fun way to go about it. You said, hey, I had a lot of fun playing this in Standard. I want to play it in Modern. You can. It's there. You can do that. Sideboard is kind of what you'd expect. Rest in Peace, Stony Silence. There's a Graph Digger in this one. Blessed Alliance, Rejection, Dispel, Wear and Tear. Click, saying, hey, you know what? Some more disruption against you. Seems great. Johnny Vengeant. You know what? An extra Planeswalker. I can port 1 Saheeli out for it. Anger of the Gods in there. Supreme Verdict. Let's go some board wipes, right? Timely Reinforcement. Extra against Burn. Things like that. But this Planeswalker version is much more fragile, right? Definitely more fragile than the Nahiri version. Nahiri can protect herself a little bit, whereas Saheeli can't, and it's very much of reliant on how you set things up to protect her. So 3 different versions of Jeskai out there. Just the basic control version, the Nahiri control, and the Saheeli combo, which is less control, more just a combo. But I wanted to kind of highlight it with the Jeskai list, because this one was going to be a little bit longer, but that's okay, right? We can have longer videos. we can have longer videos to sit here and go over some discussions. But you know, sometimes these lists have a hard time when you're going really fast at them. That's why you see a lot of them trying to run Supreme, a lot of them trying to run Anger of the Gods, just to try to stay alive and stabilize. They benefit from a long, drawn-out game. So if you can end it early, go quick, you're going to be in a good spot. But as the game draws out, they benefit, right? They can sit here and be like, well, all right, I'm going to activate my Celestial Colonnade now while we're in top deck mode, and here's 4 damage coming at you. Or I'm going to sit here and Path and Bolt and Helix and destroy all of your creatures. Oh, you were trying to do that Pierce plan where you had like one guy and kill me with that? Nah, not going to work for you. So definitely a way to play. Really powerful if you like playing control aspect. Like the Jeskai stuff has a lot of removal backing it up. Single target removal, right? Does have access to some board wipe stuff with Anger of the Gods, Supreme Verdict, things like that, but it's, you know, powerful deck. There's a reason it's still in Modern. Some people have said it needs some help. They've tried these different versions. That's why even with the Jeskai, we've got 3 different versions we highlighted here. Maybe it does. Maybe not. I don't know. You guys can be the judge of that. But that's going to do it for this episode of Modern Magic Mondays. Hope you guys have been enjoying it. Been hearing some great feedback and stuff like that. I know there's lots of decks still out there that I haven't talked about. We will. This one's a little bit longer. Sorry about it. That's kind of happens. If you guys haven't yet, check out the other videos that we've been doing. We've been doing some Minecraft stuff. We've been doing some Diablo stuff. You know, getting back into Magic. StarCraft is coming out with our HD edition, so maybe there'll be some more StarCraft stuff in the future. Lots of extra stuff besides Magic. So make sure you guys are hitting the subscribes, hitting the follows across the board, because all the extra stuff coming up at the beginning of the week. Magic stuff is always at the end of the week for you guys to be able to enjoy. But again, that's going to do it for us here tonight, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in and watching, and I'll see you guys next game.